Today with Talking Scuba, I'm going to be comparing two of the finest dry suit undersuits, the Fourth Element HaloAR and the Santi BZ400X, the unheated version. But before we talk about the technical side of things, let's talk about the price. The new Santi 420, the BZ400X, is selling for £525, and the Fourth Element HaloAR is also selling for £525. If, however, you are in the market for a new undersuit, the Santi BZ400X is still available, still an absolutely lovely suit, and I have seen them new for sale at just over £300. So there are some stockists out there looking to move some of their older stock. So again, a great price for a great undersuit. The BZ Santi has been out on the market now for, I think, around 20 years. So it's a tried and tested piece of equipment. For insulation, Santi used the 3M product, Thinsulate. And Thinsulate has been around for a long time and it works very well. It is pre-compressed, so it won't affect your buoyancy as your depth changes during your dive. I know from experience that the 3M product will keep you warm even if it gets wet. Even should you have a bit of a leak or a flood even in your dry suit, this 3M product, the Thinsulate, will still protect you for a while. The Thinsulate wicking properties are exceptional. Both the Fourth Element and the Santi suits have a really nice, comfy, fleecy lining inside. They're both very, very comfortable and easy to wear. But I think it's time to dive into the differences between the two suits. And I've got no particular favourite, but there are some differences that are worth note. For my last 10 dives, I've switched between the two because I got both of these suits. So what I'm going to do is compare the differences between the two, what I liked and didn't like, and what was different. Also, but don't forget, my dive profiles were slightly different. Some were deeper than others and some were a bit shorter or longer than others. But in general, let me tell you what I've found about the two suits. Firstly, the Fourth Element suit is thinner. It takes up less space inside my dry suit. Under my 03 5mm neoprene suit, the Fourth Element suit fitted better. Only because it was thinner and I have less room underneath my neoprene suit. On the following dive, using the same dry suit, the Santi suit, although it felt a little bit puffier initially, the water soon pushed it down, and after I'd been in the water for 5 minutes or so, there was no difference. Almost immediately, I found the zip on the Fourth Element suit a real pain. And I mean that literally. The Fourth Element suit has a zip which comes up the side and across to the top, and the zip ends with the zipper on your collarbone, on your left collarbone. I dive with the Buddy Commando BCD with two 12-litre tanks strapped on the back, and it's quite heavy. I like to dive with my neck strap on the BCD cinched up to stop the shoulder straps from moving out, and the left shoulder strap sat right over the zip on my collarbone, and it hurt. After my first dive, I thought perhaps I'd left the zipper poking up or hadn't set it down properly flat, but I had, and this happened on each of the 5 dives. I tried leaving the zip partly undone. I stopped the zip from coming up sort of 3 or 4 inches short of my collarbone. That worked. And I tried putting a piece of sponge and a piece of flannel underneath the zip on my collarbone to help protect it. And that worked. Annoying, but it worked. And going back to the zip, I found the fourth element suit more difficult to get into. The zip stopped at the waist, and I found it quite difficult. I'm fairly broad-shouldered. I found it quite difficult to get myself into the suit in the first place. I found myself really pulling at the shoulder to open the suit out by the zip, and I knew that if I pulled any further, something was going to tear or rip. The zip at the base there wasn't going to hold. The Santi, on the other hand, is lovely. The zip goes right from the crotch up to the centre of your collarbone at the front. Easy. It has 2 zips, top and bottom, so you can zip it either way. So getting in and out of the suit, like a pair of overalls, was very, very easy. It was not an issue at all. Fourth Element claimed that the reason for routing the zip around the side there is so you don't have the zip or a gap on your chest. But if you look closely at the Santi suit, although the zip does run up the front, there is a very generous overlap of material under the zip protecting you from the elements and from the zip. And I found it to be very comfortable, very flexible, and didn't notice the zip was there at all through any of the, I think, 5 or 6 dives that I did with it. So that's the zip covered. The next thing I noticed was the flexibility and the stretch ability, if that's a word. The Santi suit has much more give in it. It has nice flexible bits under the arm and around the waist as well. You really can move very comfortably in that suit, in the Santi suit. There are areas of the suit where they've eased back on the insulation behind the knees, in the crook of the arm, and under the armpits as well. So where you need to flex, you don't have to bend the insulation material. It's lighter, it's less there. And I didn't notice the lack of thermal protection there either. I didn't. What it did do was make it very easy to bend and flex. I have independent twins, so I don't need to go through my shutdown procedure. But I still have to ferret around looking for my gauges, pulling out lift bags from pockets, and finding my spare DSMB for a practice routine, that type of thing. So flexibility is important. The Fourth Element suit, a lovely suit, I did like it. But for me, I found it slightly more restrictive. This might be because of the way it's cut for my particular body. I didn't go to a shop to have it fitted. I bought it from the internet, and the size, according to the size chart, should have fitted fine. And it did. It fitted okay. So if I were buying a Fourth Element suit again, I would go and try a few on. It would be the sensible thing to do. They are cut slightly finer, if you like. They're a tighter cut. As you can see from the video there, the Santi suit is a little bit more like a sleeping bag. It really is very, very toasty. It doesn't compress much. And when I first saw it, I thought it would just be too generally bulky, but it's not. It really isn't. Once you put that inside your dry suit, it comes down very nicely, and once the water has squeezed you up a little bit, the suit comes down to the right size, and there it stays. It doesn't go any further. Now, another difference between the two is at the wrists and the ankles. The Santi, how to explain it? It doesn't have so much insulation on your ankle joint. It reduces itself to a flexible, almost like a net, so that it stays where it should do. And the insulation comes away from the ankle. With the fourthelement, the insulation comes down and over the ankle, so it bulks up a little bit. And I initially thought that that might make my wrists and maybe my ankles get a bit cold, but that wasn't the case at all. What that did was make it a little more comfortable. Since making this video, I've done 2 more dives, one with each of the undersuits, and I will probably go along with the Santi suit as my suit of preference. I've seen the new Santi 420 and it looks very nice. The only difference that we can make out, apart from it looking slightly different, is that the fleece has changed, but they still use the same insulation, the 3M Thinsulate. I also found the collar of the Santi suit slightly puffier, and I have 2 suits, my 3M neoprene and a DUI silicone seal. And when I'm using my DUI trilaminate with the silicone seal, I prefer the neck on the Santi undersuit. It's slightly puffier and just gives me a little bit more protection around underneath the seal, which I like. I've seen the Santi 420 and it looks and feels very, very similar. It looks the same, it feels the same. It's supposed to be a little bit warmer because of the fleece, but in effect it looks the same. But I will try and get hold of a larger size of the Halo, just to make sure that I'm being completely fair about it. If it's a too small a fit, then that will obviously affect my feelings about how it stretches and gives. But it doesn't seem to have the same flexibility as the Santi. The other similarities obviously are they both have nice heel stirrups, so you can get your foot in and it stays there. They both have decent thumb loops, and I've had them both out on cold, windy days, and they are both very, very windproof. Absolutely perfect. And to finish off with, I've got to say that whichever of these undersuits you end up with, you will be highly delighted. They're both cracking pieces of kit. But today, as we speak, if I could get hold of a Santi 400, the BZ400X for £320, then I certainly would. If you can find one to fit you, go for it. Cold water diving isn't for everybody. I quite enjoy it. Visibility is slightly better at the moment now and getting better, but the temperature is going down. So I hope you keep diving through the winter and enjoy it as I do. But whatever you do, keep diving and keep safe.